Hi, Year 8. How are we doing today? I'm going to be talking through the next steps in the planning for our assessment. So first of all, I'm going to be reviewing the task that we are going to be taking for the assessment. And then I'm going to be telling you how to select your quotations, okay? And that's all we're going to do today. We are just selecting our textual evidence because you need to go through the text very carefully and you need to pick your quotes very, very carefully, okay? To do that well could well take you an hour, all right, especially if you're using supporting quotations. So I want to make sure that you have chances to do the task properly and that you're really happy with it. And also, if you need to, that you've got opportunity to ask me questions because I'll be online throughout the session, all right? So I'm going to set you up as quickly as I can, giving you just the basic information that you need. You've got your planning sheets, which I will share with you. And if you've got any problems, you must make sure that you ask me, all right? Because I'm not a mind reader, all right? Now, I know this can be quite a challenging task and for some of you. So last week you did really, really well with communicating with me and getting the reassurance that you needed and making sure that you were fully understanding it. And that's exactly what I want. So it's the same thing today. So let's have more of this lovely, mature, independent attitude to working that I've been seeing from you. So just to remind yourselves of the task, you're going to write, you had a choice, remember? You could choose to do a comparative essay or a straightforward analysis. So if you're doing a comparative essay, you're going to be looking at two texts. And if you're doing a straightforward analysis, then you're looking just at one text, okay? Now, remember the texts that we've looked at this term are The Outsiders, Ready Player One, Juba City School, Island Man, Initiation, Rules of the Game. Whew, all 6, all right? Now, you should have made that decision already. Just to remind you, of course, that this is how you're going to set out your essay. You're going to have a short introduction. You're going to have your first paragraph, your second P paragraph, and then your conclusion. Now, I did remind you all last time that if you're one of those students that tends to write about 43 pages for a P paragraph, then you will have to break that down into smaller paragraphs. But for the purposes of planning, we will call them P1 and P2, as though they are one paragraph. Does that make sense? It should do. Right. So last time we went through, if you went for option A, the comparisons of forming your points. You may have made 4, 5, 6 comparisons, but you need to select 2. One for point 1, one for point 2, for P1 and P2, all right? We did say to avoid using 2 similarities, but try and use a mixture and variety of similarities and differences, all right? So you should have done that now, and that should all be good. If you haven't, you can't move beyond this stage until it's done. You can't skip ahead. That's very, very important. So you must complete each stage of the task in order. If you're just going for the straight ahead analysis, that's absolutely fine. And remember, you need to respond to the question, what does the text tell you about the theme of belonging? So here were some examples of what you could do to make really good P paragraphs, really good point for P paragraphs. And again, you're going to select 2, one for P1 and one for P2. All right? Just like you did for your last assessment. Now, today we're going to be selecting evidence. If you are doing a comparative P paragraph, then you need at least 2 pieces of evidence. Now, there is an option, and some of you did do this in your practice, to look at additional information, okay? So you can use some shorter quotations to support, which I've left a little space for at the bottom. You don't have to, but if you wanted to, that may well improve your grade a little, all right? But the main thing is we need one good quote from each text to compare. So the first thing you need to do is look at your point. So, for example, and I've left the example in here on your planning sheet, so you can delete this, but it's just there to help you, to remind you what an example of what it should look like. So, for example, there's a comparison here that is a similarity. Both poems try to show how much the characters miss their old home by describing their places of origin in a positive manner. So here I've got my quote. that shows that Jagjit is describing his home in the Punjab in a positive manner. And I'm going to do the same for my second text, okay? Now, when we did the practice, we compared it with Isle of Man, but obviously you can compare any two texts, all right? So you need to put the name of the text in there so you know what you're clear about. Then you need to select your quote. Now, your quote, your point needs to go at the top, so you need to cut and paste that in. That's the first step. Make sure it's in a nice order. Does it make logical sense? So I wouldn't start by looking at the last line and then moving to the first line. That would be weird. All right. If you're not sure what order to put them in, I'd just go for a chronological order. All right. Maybe start with a simile and then a similarity and then a difference. I think that's probably the best way to do it. But whatever works for you. If you're not sure, you can ask me, of course. Now you need your evidence. Now remember, 3 things make a good quotation. It answers the point. So if your point is about how the characters miss their old home, then you can't pick a quote that shows that they're both bullied, because that doesn't show they missed their own home. That's the first thing. The second thing is it needs to be of a reasonable length. That length that I've given you here is about as long as it should be, right? If you quote it, you must analyze it. Similarly, you can't just use one word for a quotation, not for a main quotation. You can use a second quotation, and you can use a short quote there of just 1 or 2 words. That's fine, but your main quote should have a bit of length to it, so it should be a sensible length. And the last thing, it should be full of techniques, nice images, nice words that you feel you can really comment on and really talk about and really delve into. All right. If it's a bit dry and boring, the quote, then you should pick another. Otherwise, you're going to struggle to analyze it. Sometimes kids pick quotes that I couldn't even say anything interesting about because they're just really, really boring quotes. All right. So please make sure that they tick those 3 boxes. They prove your point, they are a sensible length, and that you can really analyze them because they're rich with lots of lovely features, techniques, and vocabulary. All right. That you can talk about that prove your point. Then you put in your quotes, and that's all you're going to do. No analysis today, you're just picking quotes, all right? So you need a quote from text 1, a quote from text 2, and then if you want to, you can put in some supporting quotations, if you can, all right? Now, we practiced this before, so that should be quite straightforward. Now, that is 1 P paragraph. You then have to do the same. So you need to change the title to P paragraph number 2, all right? And then you need to pick you'll put your second point in there. Same process exactly, you're just doing it twice. Then you put your text in that you're comparing. Obviously, it's going to be the same text. I would analyze them the same way around. So, if, for example, if you start with Yuba City School, I would start with Yuba City School again. So you've got a nice alternate between the 2 texts, which makes it nice and comparative. And then you need to pick your quote that proves your point, good length, and sensible length and full of lovely techniques and rich vocabulary. And then you're doing the same here for your second text. So all in all, the minimum number of quotes you can do this with is 4. That is the minimum. 2 to compare for P1 and 2 to compare for P2. So you'll need to fill in 2 forms this time, not just 1. All right, 1 for P1, 1 for P2. Hopefully that's straightforward. Those of you that are doing a straightforward analysis of 1 text, it's the same approach, but this time we're not comparing. So I would like us to use 2 quotes per paragraph, all right? Not just 1, because 1's rubbish, all right? And we did 1 ages ago, so we can definitely do 2 per P paragraph. So again, you write your point at the top there, all right, that you did from last week. So point 1, point 2. All right. What does this what does this text tell you about belonging? What does this text tell you about belonging? Then you put in your evidence and analysis, and then your second piece of evidence and your analysis. All right, that proves your point. So we want 2 quotations per P paragraph minimum. All right. If you can put a third piece in, even if it's just a short piece, or even if something about structure or a symbol or something like that, or even just like a keyword, then that's absolutely fine. You could add that in to really show off, okay? Make sure, again, your order is correct. then you find your evidence. And then remember, a good quotation proves your point, has a sensible length, lots of lovely rich techniques and features. Okay, so here you're going to put your second point in, you're going to put your first quote in, your second quote in, and if you have got space, you can put a third quote if you think you can handle it and do a good job there. So that's all you're doing today. You are just selecting quotes. You don't need to start analysing. If you really want to and you've got time and you think it's a good job to get started on the analysis, you can do that. That's fine. But today, all I want done for definite is your evidence. Again, if you have questions, you're not sure if it's a good quote or not, you must ask me. It's what I'm here for and I want to help. Okay, so it's very, very important. You all did really, really well last week. I'm really impressed with your attitudes. This is not an easy task, but I think we can handle it because of your positive attitude. All right, and your independence. So that's a bit of a compliment for you there. All right, I won't give you too many. Don't worry. So well done. If you have problems, please email me. Please talk to me. And if you can send at any time. Just reach out, and I'll do my best to help you. Okay. Thank you very much, guys.